Okay, so welcome to issue 50, and in this issue there are just 6 parts. I say just 6 parts. There are 6 parts. So first of all we have got the hull plating, and this is TP10. So again there, TP10. I think that one almost came into focus. Piece number 2 is the assembly jig 1 section, and I see a nice shape there, so that's obviously where the turret's going to go. I'll have a look at this later on. In fact, actually what I'm going to do, I just remembered that last time I assembled these, they told you to assemble them by issue number, and I could not figure out. Oh, it's so hard because these aren't a brilliant fit. So what I'm going to try and do, and I'll do. Oh, there we go. I have got it. What I wish to do is, with a permanent marker, somewhere, probably on the back, I'm going to write 50 on it. That means that's the issue number it comes from. So when they tell you put the assembly jig from issue 50 and put the assembly jig from 57 or whatever, you'll know which one is which. You could put pit masking tape on there and label it, but I'm doing it the quick way. So piece number 3, or pieces number 3, as appropriate or as applicable, is a 4-hole connector, and we have just the one of those. There we go, and we can see where this is starting to go, can't we? And then the next pieces that we get, oh, I thought that was gonna pick those up. So we have 3 2-hole connectors, so make sure you have 3, try not to lose any. And then we have hull frame TF12, which I think is going to be, there you go, it's this one, TF12 and TF13, and that's the pieces for issue 50. Okay, so in this issue we're going to assemble the top frames, and the pieces that we need is this one that we've assembled in issue 4. Now don't be confused, because as you can see on the magazine there's no hull plating on it. However, looking back at issue 4, see, I keep my magazine so I'm able to check. There is the hull frame complete, but then on the next section it says there is no need to attach the hull plating permanently until you've completed the whole of the metal framework. But now that you have completed a large section, you can fit the panel supply with issue 1 and 3 to see the principles involved. So I did actually choose to fit this. I didn't choose to fit the end because there was no way of permanently connecting it. However, so you didn't need to fit that, but I have, and now that it's attached I'm not gonna unattach it. So what we're gonna need is TP10. I've tried to lay this out roughly as the magazine has, but I'm a little bit restricted on the space. So we've obviously got the piece from issue 4, TP10, TP11, TP12, 13, 8, oops sorry, 8 and 7. So we've also going to need some 2-hole connectors, some 4-hole connectors, and black screws, and obviously a screwdriver. So we're going to work with, I'm actually going to pop all of the 2-hole connectors out, because once we tend to use them, we tend to use all of them. So we need, in the corner here, into the corner of frame, TF5, so that's TF4, TF1, TF6, TF5. Right, so we're working this way round. So 2-hole connector goes into there, 1 black screw. Oh, these are the fiddly parts, I think. So there isn't actually an awful lot to do on this whole issue. So normally when I'm screwing, I will move it, I will put it fast forward. Right, just want to screw that in just so that it starts to connect. Why is that not going in? That's because I'm screwing in completely the wrong area. There we go. So we've got a little purchase on that, so that enables me to just hold that 2-hole connector into position. I'll have to screw a bit more. I want it to go, I don't want it to go fully tight because I know there's going to be something attached there. So that's the 2-hole. So then we want to fit frame 7, which should be this one, into the end of TF5, like, there you go. That's another reason for not screwing things on permanently. I've actually screwed that in completely the wrong direction, so that wants to go forwards. So that's going to go in like so, and then we're going to attach that with two black screws, one in there in the 4-hole connector we've already done, and one in the 2-hole connector that we did just now. So I'm going to put the 4-hole connector screw in first because that's in a little bit sturdier, and that will just eliminate the need to have a third hand, and we could just pop this straight in then. And I'm hoping now that I have put this in correctly. I'm trying to work the way that the magazine is showing her parts, but the way that they're showing the instructions is actually opposite. So I wonder if this is a good enough screwdriver. Sorry, the head. I have found out that this tends to tighten up as you add more pieces. At the moment this is only held on by 2 pieces of support. Once you get the other pieces around it, then it comes into place. So we need to fit another 2-hole, or fit another hole into the 2-hole connector. Screw a 4-hole connector into the corner of frame 6. So 7, 6, there we go, that's going to go to there. So let's tip our 4-hole connectors out. So I'm guessing there's going to be a tiny piece go in there. So 2 black screws at the ready, and these can be put in fully tight because we know where this is going to go, because once we've got 2 points of contact it kind of pulls it into shape then, doesn't it? That's if I can find the screw hole. Okay Penny, calm down, slow down a bit, don't need to rush this, as I tell everybody else. Oh dear. There we go, that's him. Just finding the screw hole. Once you're there, it's a piece of doddle. There we go. So I thought this was going to be a very simple issue, but it actually looks like it's going to be a very long issue of chase the screw. Okay, so then we need to fit the frame 8, which is this one. That's interesting that they're going to be connecting the same, well they have done with this as well. So frame 8. So I'm going to, this is going to be supported by a little tiny bit of frame. So I'll do this corner first, just to hold it in as it has done. Then I'll go back to the opposite side. That should make it a little bit more rigid. There we go. and then back to this one, and then the last screw should just secure that properly. It should be secure with well, mine is secure with 2 screws, so obviously the third screw is just going to make it that little bit stronger. There we go, and it is strengthening with every piece that we add. So that's frame TF8 added. So fix that in place with 3 screws in the 4-hole oh, that's interesting. There we go. Yep. And then screw a 2-hole connector in frame 4. So TF4 is 1. I've lost TF4. 2. Oh lordy help me here. 4. So 2-hole connector is there. There we go. Sometimes the hard bit is figuring out the orientation of the magazine. So the way I've discovered that we put it there is we follow this angle here, and that takes us to there. So 2-hole connector. The way I've been doing these connectors is I will pop the screw through the connector first, like so, and that will then save us trying to hold a fiddly bit. So that's in there, and we can just place that on there, or we can use that as a screw holder in a roundabout way. There we go. Because it's a 2-hole connector, I'm only going to put it on loosely because we need to make sure that's lined up ready for the next piece of framework. So next we want to put another 2-hole connector in frame 6, which is this one, and I think that's the only place it can go. We can kind of see where this is going, can't we? So I'm going to have to turn it around only because I'm right-handed. So the way I'm going to hold this, I need the free space in a particular position. Obviously if you were left-handed, you could follow this differently. So there we go, that's lots of connectors on there. So then we want to fit frame TF10, which is this one, and I can see that that's going to need a lot of support because this isn't really, there's no corners and things. So yeah, I can see why there's that many connectors on it now. So then we just want to fill that up with the screws. So I'll get 3 screws out because we've already got the 1 out from, I got too many out on the previous stage, I think. So, and I'm going to turn this around again because I'm right-handed. It's just going to make life a bit easier for me. So I'm going to screw the end on, and then I'm going to screw the other end on. Lovely. Then I'm going to put the middle ones in. Hopefully that will be a perfect fit. Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. No problems. Well, very few problems I've had with this Millennium Falcon. This has by no means been my worst build. I'm really enjoying it. Right, so now I've put the middle ones in really tight. I'm going to go back to these first ones, and don't forget to screw both screws on the 2-hole connectors, because I put them in a little bit loose so that I could adjust them if I didn't get them quite in the right position. But now they're in the right position, they need to go on tight. Oh, that's rock. Every single piece is making this just a little bit stronger. So next we want to put so there's 10 2-hole connector to the hole in frame 8. So now we need to find frame 8, which I think is going to be this one. So 2-hole connector. Okay. This sometimes get a bit confusing because you think you're going to put something there, but you're not. This is actually going to be the ring in the middle. So I'm a little bit nervous when I'm like, oh, they're going to put something there, and then they're like, no, we're not going to put something there. So again, I might just turn this around because I'm right-handed. So pop this through. So this is going near to the top, but not totally to the top. And you can see where this assembly jig is going to come in useful. It's not absolutely critical at the moment, but once we get more framework on, we are going to need it. So piece TF13, that needs to go there, and I would suspect that's going to be quite fragile at the moment because it's only held on by one screw. But once we get the other pieces on, it should all start to come together. So one screw only. So TF13 is going to be closest to the middle of all of these pieces. So yeah, it's actually on quite solid, but if you were to apply any pressure to that, that will move. So then we need a 2-hole and a 4-hole connector. The 2-hole is going to go there and the 4-hole is going to go on there. You can see where that's going, can't you? So let's get 3 screws out for this stage. Again, sticking with the black screws because they're the screws that we are using for the framework. So pop the screw in the 2-hole connector and we will just screw that in. And again, because it's a 2-hole connector, we're going to leave that just enough to bite. Don't want it really tight in case we get it in the wrong position. And the same will apply for the sorry, I said to get 3 screws out. We only at this point need 1. And that's because we're going to put the 4-hole connector on the end, on the corner. And that's then going to enable us to attach 3 or 4 more pieces of framework. So because it's only going to go on by 1 screw, we're not going to do this fully tight. I mean, you can do, but you may need to loosen it off a bit when you put the next piece of frame on. So 2-hole and a 4-hole, and then piece TF12, which I believe is, yep, it's this one, and that's going to connect into those 2 connectors that you've just made. And once you've connected those, because you know they'll be in the right place, you can then tighten both screws. Sorry, all 4 screws. So screw, and I'm going to do this far one first. Sometimes, quite often, I'll do the easier screw first because that could pull the other screws in and make the harder ones easier, if that makes sense. But I think it's more to do with position at the moment. And I think I'm going to have to lift this up. I can't really do it. That means you won't see it so easily, but it'll be a lot easier for me to construct. So be careful here. Look, that is very loose at the moment. I'm wondering if, as a critique, perhaps we should have done this stage first, attach these 2 together, and then bring the finished piece onto there. So consider that yourself. I can see some people perhaps snapping this off while you're trying to put this on, because like I say, that's not held on. It's only held on by the 1 screw. So lastly, we're on a 2-hole connector on the end there, and that should give us a spare 2-hole connector. So normally when we get the 2-hole connectors, we build them up, and then once we use them, we use all of them. So I am slightly concerned. It might well be that I've missed a stage out. I can't see any obvious places for a 2-hole connector. Not this week anyway. But I suspect if I have missed a stage, then at some point in the future it will say attach this to whatever. In fact, I can see where I've missed it actually. End of the arm on TF10. So we should actually be attaching it there. 17, 18. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I've actually missed a step on this one. So we want a 2-hole connector there. We want another one there. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? As I say, when if I didn't put the 2-hole connector in, and I should have done, I'm really struggling with this one today. I'm going to turn this framework around. So I'm going to turn it this way. Again, I think it's the position and me being right-handed. Just out of interest, are any of you left-handed? Apparently there's some mythical special powers for, you know, special thing being left-handed. I don't know if that's correct or not. Do you feel special if you're left-handed? So this is going to go in there. Just want that in a little bit more. I don't want it in fully tight because I need it to be in the right position. Right, so lastly, we're going to be putting TF11 in, and that's going to go in like so, and that should stiffen all of this in, because now it'll be connected with 3 screws, not 1. So I'm quite happy with this because I made a little cock up. Sometimes if everything goes really smooth all the time, you start to not bother focusing so much. Your mind kind of goes, oh, this is easy, just bang 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 bang, and the next thing you know, you've mucked it all up. So making a mistake is just a little reminder that you're not invincible, and that you do, you know, things can go wrong, and it just, I don't like this, that's not really gone into well. There we go, that's a bit better. There we go. Yeah, so it does just remind you that mistakes can be made, and it just teaches you just to keep your eye on the ball a bit. So, you know, saying, oh, this does this and it normally does that, sometimes it doesn't. Although in this case, I was correct to say it normally does this. Right, let's have a look at that. Right, I'm not fully happy with this. I don't know if the screws are the wrong, like not quite right. I don't know if my screw... Let's try a different screwdriver head. I don't like keep switching screwdrivers part build, but I can't get these in really tight. No, that is in tight. So, oh, there we go. There we go. Let's see if that's helped. Yeah, that's made a bit of a difference, but not massively. You know, I can't remember if we got a screwdriver with this build. I don't think we did we? Right, I am not convinced with the screws here. These ones, that doesn't look like a comfortable fit there. Don't know if you can see that through the frame, and as a result this is quite wobbly. I'm pretty sure once we get the other pieces around it, it will be less wobbly, and it's because of the shape of this. You know, obviously if this was a flat piece there would be more support. These would be 4-hole connectors, but I just can't seem to get that. Can you see the wobble on there? So let's do it this way. There we go. So I just can't get. Let's try this screw on. It could just be I'm not using the best screwdriver head. Yeah, that's slightly better. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'll keep an eye on that. And I'll just see how it goes. There are quite a few of them are quite loose, but like I say, there's more to add. You know, if you take one side of a triangle away, you know, you've ended up with a really weak structure. If you 3 sides of a triangle, you actually have the strongest structure going. So I'm not overly worried at this stage, but I am going to keep an eye on that one. Okay, so that is actually the entire issue 50 done. There's only one stage to do. So if you felt there's been a lot of work, and there has been a lot of work over the last few weeks, and I think most of the work came in the last pack, because this is pack 13, is it? I cannot remember the pack numbers, but it's been fun, and you know, it's a little bit of a rest. So I will see you next week when I think we're going to be doing more of this. So take care, guys.